So, we thought there was a potential for one of those trade deadlines that starts with a roar and goes out with like a lamb. What is it? Starts like a lion and ends like a lamb. And we were like, it was maybe 11 a.m., day of the deadline. And we're like, what's happening? Where are these trades? There's nothing happening. Hopped on the Peloton just to get my mind right. And literally, as I got on the Peloton, boom, 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 boom. Blackout, blackout, blackout. Trade, this trade, that trade, this trade, that trade. And then it happened. And then it happened in the battle between Brian Windhorst, Adrian Wojnarowski, Shams Charania. Boom. This is the bomb. This is the sound of the Shams bomb. Shams just scoops everyone. Scoops Woj, scoops Windy, scoops Haynes. There were some bubblings. Oh, negotiations getting clearer. Things are starting to come into fruition. Both sides starting to talk. We've been saying that, blah, blah, blah. Both sides, we've been hearing that for weeks. But no, trade comes down. Yes, sir. Harden goes to Philadelphia. Ben Simmons goes to Brooklyn. Are you kidding me? This is the best possible situation for all NBA fans. If you love the tea and you love drama, I am telling you now, the Where Will Ben Simmons drama that's been feeding our news cycle for the last 7, 8, 9 months, whatever it's been, will pale in comparison to how the fuck did something three-headed monster between Harden, Kyrie, and KD dissolve so fast? Who was responsible for this? How did it happen? The investigative reporting and the tea that has already come out, I tell you what, delicious. Compared to like some Where Will Ben Go? What's happening with Daryl Morey? That is nothing compared to this. So Brooklyn Nets, here's the trade. Brooklyn Nets receive Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, a 2022 first-round pick, completely unprotected, with the right to defer to 2023, a 2027 first-round pick, top 8 protected through 2028, and it becomes 2 seconds if it's not conveyed. The Philadelphia 76ers receive James Harden and Paul Millsap. I tell you what, I love everything about this, not just from a basketball perspective, because we'll get to that, but from a comedy perspective, this is just so much material, I don't even know what to get to first. First and foremost, the fact that Woj was so blatantly wrong for so long about this trade not happening, and us as a collective finally understanding that the hero has stuck around long enough to be the villain, is tremendous. We all now collectively understand that Woj is for the man. He's not for the culture or for the people. And I hear it on Twitter time after time after time. Take this, Woj. Shams got you, Woj. So that was hilarious. Hilarious to see Windhorst and Woj literally sparring on national television, basically being like, I told you so, Woj. Obviously your sources are lying to you, or you have bad sources, whatever that is, I love. Also, how this all ended up happening, Harden wouldn't ask out for a trade because he was apparently worried about the public backlash of publicly asking for one, even though we're pretty certain and confident he asked out if he's being traded. Like, it wasn't a public announcement or a skewering like he gave us on national TV, but that was shocking. For him to say this team's not close to competing under any circumstances, of course I didn't see that happening for the Nets, right? This team is close. They played 16 games together, all 3. They've won 13 out of those 16, right? So, okay. Secondarily, now the news is coming out that Kyrie and Harden didn't like each other. Gasp. Are you shocked? I am absolutely baffled that a man like James Harden, a simple man with simple desires, fried food, strip clubs, and basketball, would not get along with a man who believed that the earth was flat, that sticking up for the world, his duty was to not be vaccinated, to show the world that people should not be persecuted or admonished or reap the consequences at work for not getting vaccinated. He believed that that was social justice. He burns sage whenever he goes to an arena. He's on Instagram Live posting weird things about how he knew Kevin Durant in a past life. Like, James Harden's looking at Kyrie Irving like, what are you talking about, guy? Like, I just want to hoop, and you are fucking up my plans to hoop. James Harden, of course, got there to be on a three-headed monster, and all of a sudden he looks around and he's like, this is a colder version of Houston with more taxes. Like, I am now paying somehow 15% more in taxes. Kevin Durant is injured. Kyrie's never here. He's talking about how he's saving the world by not getting vaccinated, and all I can think about is, listen, I did not come here for this. Also, apparently Kyrie Irving was quote-unquote eager to see James Harden also be traded, per Joe Varden. He said Irving was ready for Harden to move on too. When Irving heard Harden was in fact hoping to be traded, a well-placed source says he was eager to see it come to fruition as well. Yeah, there is a new report by a not so credible source, but a Brooklyn Nets executive says the growing rift between Kyrie and Harden. This is Ballsack Sports, so take it with a grain of salt. That's the one that was also quoting things that actually came true about Daryl Morey, so whatever you want to say. Kyrie, this is the quote, Kyrie beat James Harden one-on-one almost every day in practice, and Kyrie was barely even in basketball shape. It demoralized Harden. Things reached a breaking point when Kyrie called Harden washed after completely locking him up in one scrimmage. An assistant had to break the two up as tempers flared, and the relationship spiraled down from there. Sheesh. There's just so much. I don't even understand it. Another thing that was hilarious to me was that Kevin Durant had to go on national TV and basically draft his all-star team minutes after this happened. And there's 2 spots left, and Kevin Durant has the choice between James Harden and the pariah of the NBA in terms of popularity, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, for the last, I don't know how many years, has been picked last at the All-Star game. It's become a thing. It's become kind of like a ritual, like a part of the All-Star game. Utah players always get chosen last, and Rudy Gobert is always the last pick chosen. Always. Always, always, always. Not this time. Apparently, Kevin Durant needed Rudy Gobert to help face this LeBron-led roster. And this is what he had to say.
I'm going to need some size for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to need some size and some defense in the interior.
Yeah.
Especially with Giannis and LeBron James playing such great basketball this year. I need somebody to offset that, so I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert.
I agree.
That worked out nicely for you.
Pause. First and foremost, you must Google this video. This is not something that is done justice by audio, because it's a screen. It's a half screen of Bron on the left and KD on the right, and LeBron somehow procured a clipboard that he could put over his face to hide him laughing at a deadpanned Kevin Durant say, yeah, I need some size for show. Yeah, I'm going to take, I need to have somebody, just straight face, I need somebody to guard LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo and all those other big boys. So, yeah, I need Rudy Gobert. And Bron is losing it. So now Bron has to choose Harden because he's the last guy left. Here's what they have to say after.
I mean, you can't let people run through the lane and dunk all the time. Got somebody defending back there.
Hey, chess, not checkers. Hey, when somebody want out, you let them go. Don't let them come back. I'm with you, KD.
That's why I cut my hair off. I was like, I'm
That's
going.
why I kept my hair off.
So James Harden goes to
LeBron
James as the final selection of the All-Star draft.
Shaq.
Is he? He hasn't played. Is he healthy?
Who's that?
James, he hasn't played.
He's
what
missed.
happens if he doesn't?
He got traded. He's healthy now.
He's missed the last 3 with a hammy. See, and now we know why LeBron carries a clipboard with him to the
Hey,
draft.
LeBron,
Oh, my
trust me
gosh,
right now,
man.
he's rubbing some ice hot on that thing. He's playing the next game.
Other questions.
I can't with y'all.
KD, just next year bring a clipboard. It comes in.
Oh my God. Is he healthy? What happens if he doesn't play? And they just say right to his face, he hasn't been playing because he's been trying to get the fuck out of Brooklyn. And KD's just laughing. He's been scorned. A dynasty has been split up. And he's like, I do not care. I do not care about that man. I played with him at Oklahoma City. And bye. Bye, bitch. If you want to go, then go. So that's hilarious. From a basketball perspective, I think this is the best thing for both sides. Like, you needed to get rid of Ben. Ben was rotting. James obviously didn't want to stay. And this was one of those circumstances where it was mutually assured destruction if the deal didn't go down. You needed this deal to happen. What happens for Brooklyn if James just decides to opt out of his player option and then decide to be a free agent or force his way to be traded? And maybe by that point, Ben Simmons is already gone. And so you end up with Tobias Harris. Like, you don't like that. You've got no leverage, right? And then for Philly, what happens if Joel Embiid next year isn't this version of Joel Embiid? Joel Embiid right now is playing the best basketball of his life. And for the next 25 games, I think we can like realistically assume that will continue. Can I assume that will continue next October? No. What happens if he all of a sudden gets back on the Shirley Temple train? What if he starts housing 15 Shirley Temples a night like he used to? Who knows? He might break down. So, okay, so you get James Harden in the offseason, and then who knows how that goes. And maybe you can't move him. Maybe you don't have cap space for him. Maybe nobody wants to take Tobias Harris. Maybe they don't want Ben Simmons. Like, it was one of those situations where how rare is it for an Atlantic Division rival to help each other out, to logistically get better for both sides, for your rivals to be harder to beat come playoff time? That's how bad the situation was. They had no other moves, 0 moves. And for Philly, Joel Embiid playing his best basketball has never had a playmaker and a scorer like James in his life, period. If James Harden is even a semblance of who he was when he first got to Brooklyn, or better yet, a version of what he was in Houston, and Joel Embiid just continues to play at the level that he's playing at now, and then you've got spreading the floor with Matisse Thybulle, you've got Danny Green, you've got Furkan Korkmaz, you've got George Nang, all capable guys who can shoot, and a guy in Matisse Thybulle who can help out James Harden defensively. This team is one of the most unstoppable duos, 2-man pick and roll, pick and pop teams that you will see. Joel Embiid is most dominant in the interior, and if James is even a fraction of himself, all he has to do is be a threat to score when they go into the 2-man game. I love this for Philly. And then for Brooklyn, I mean, this is tremendous. You get depth, you get defense, which is sorely needed. You were giving up 150 points per game in some points. Like, I was seeing regularly live totals on Vegas, 240 combined points. That's absolutely bonkers. And now you also get another shooter with Seth Curry, since Joe Harris is out with an ankle injury. You need that. You get also a capable backup big man in Andre Drummond, who is playing really well this year. He's been playing great as Joel Embiid's backup. When Joel Embiid went down with COVID, he was averaging double figures in rebounds and double figures in points. This is a win. Plus, you get 2 of those first-round draft picks back. That if James Harden walks, you've literally given up 4 first rounds and 4 pick swaps, and you got rid of Jared Allen, and you got rid of Karis LeVert, and you got rid of Taurean Prince. Like, let it be known, that would have been so bad for Sean Marks, so bad for that organization. And Joe Tsai, a billionaire who all he wants to do is win, would have been disastrous. So I love it from the basketball perspective. Who do I think has the best chance of winning a title? I think it just remains to be seen. I need to see the level that Ben and James are playing at and how that works with KD and how that works with Joel before I make a prediction. But I tell you what, both sides got better.